Hey gamers, welcome to my honest thoughts about the Wii U because you've been asking me for a while. Please excuse all the noise outside. I live on one of the busiest streets in my area of Massachusetts. And unfortunately, this is the time of year where all the locals are out driving and driving me insane with all the constant noise and traffic. So I apologize if my attitude's a little, I don't like being interrupted when I talk. It's one of my biggest pet peeves, and it really makes my disability show because I'm not nice when people interrupt me when I'm speaking because I lose my train of thought with my ADD, and then bad things happen to good people. And I know, even though some of you are on the fence about what Nintendo is and pretty mad at Nintendo for rejecting HD for innovative control when they released the Wii, we all have to agree that they did achieve the impossible and expanded the industry more so than any other company has in history. They did this by breaking down barriers between gamers and non-gamers, which was a good thing. And I do agree that the 90 million people that bought the Wii around the world are not the same 60 million that bought the Nintendo Entertainment System. So what is going on with Wii U? Looking at the system and all the things it can do, I would compare the marketing strategy and I would compare what's happening right now to what Sega was thinking when they released the Dreamcast. Now, my reasoning for putting it into this category is because Nintendo is employing the same marketing strategy by releasing a system with awesome graphics and new ways to play games and ahead of its competition, but they also have the third-party support, and they have something that Sega didn't. So the reason Sega had so many issues is during the 16-bit and 32-bit era, they released multiple consoles to try to compete with Game Boy, Super Nintendo, PlayStation, and N64. They did this with the Game Gear, they did this with the Sega CD, the Sega Saturn, and the Dreamcast, and they were trying to do all fronts when they were slowly running out of money. Now, what was happening is Sony was actually attributing most of its growth and attracting most of its users from people that had the TG16 and who liked the Neo Geo, the ABS, some of the other systems I can't remember, 3DO, and some other ones that really don't matter, honestly. And essentially, Sega eventually ran out of money. I mean, they couldn't fix all the stuff that they lost releasing all those systems to try to compete with. But in their defense, the Sony PlayStation, all it really had was, it had the power of Hollywood, it had demo CDs, the graphics were inferior to the N64 and the Saturn. In terms of 3D, 3D on PlayStation was all pixelated and it just looked terrible, but they were able to corner the market for CD-based games, and they had huge third-party support. They created new IPs, and they did a lot of good things in the industry, and back in 1995, Sony was a good company. I really liked Sony back then. I didn't like that they shifted their marketing change later on and essentially became the bullies of the game industry that they are today, but back then they were cool. When Dreamcast was actually coming out, N64 and PlayStation was around, and I think that was it for the systems. I can't really remember. We're going back almost... Oh my goodness, I'm terrible with math, but it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago for me. And Dreamcast had all this really cool stuff, like it was a thinking system, it had AI, it had a controller that could interact with the system in some capacity, better memory, better graphics, really cool games, voice acting, music that was like orchestrated and instrumental, and it was just so far ahead of its competition, but at the same time it didn't have what Nintendo has right now to make this a success. So you all know that for a very long time in my K-News I've been reporting all the rumors about Project Cafe and all this other stuff, from the new controller's going to have motion controls, it could be just another HD Wii, is it going to be a generation behind with graphics, and is the system anything like a Dreamcast, and how does it interact with the actual system and the 3DS and stuff like that. Well, while we haven't gotten everything straightened out about what the Wii U can actually do, we do know when the system was revealed that all Nintendo showed was a controller. The box was hidden away, and honestly, that kind of annoyed me a little bit, because it set like the shockwave through my line of work and also to the consumer, because nobody really understood if, hey, is this a game system or is this just some another addition for my Wii, because I already have the Wii Zapper, the Wii Balance Board, the Classic Controller Pro, Wii Motion Plus, Wii Remote Plus, you know, And they didn't clarify it at all. It took journalists to do that. But luckily you have me to help square things out, so you're welcome. No. I mean, I guess I kind of shot myself in the foot here because doing a comparison between the Dreamcast when the only similarities are between the marketing strategy and the third-party support and the awesome graphics. Everything else is way different. Especially the controller is nothing like the Dreamcast controller or even what the iPad can do. Similar things the iPad can do, but not everything we've seen and heard about. Especially after Nintendo's second press event with Ubisoft. But actually, you know what? I'm just going to let this video show you because it would be impossible for me to explain all this stuff happening because it's beyond me. I mean, this is sci-fi.
Hey, where'd you go?
You got 2 eyes, don't you?
Yeah, hang on, I'm checking. Yep, I see you guys.
Okay, guys, I'm more than ready.
Where are the tangos?
I'm on it. My drone is hovering over them as we speak. We go to point D.
See you guys over there.
Well, I'm already here if anyone is interested. I'm just saying.
Well, keep your position. We're on our way.
Oh, yes, sir. Give him a chill pill.
Wendy, don't start.
Well, obviously you don't need me, so I'll just go somewhere else, do my own thing.
Whoa! Jim, on me. I'm gonna need covering fire.
I'm almost there. I'll get you.
Come on. Eat this. Yes!
Let's dance, amigos.
Yes, I'm invisible. I'm the devil.
Oh! Jim is down. Steve, do something!
I'm trying, man.
Oh, well, maybe I can help.
And where the heck are you?
I'm just here on my couch getting my nails done. There you go! Woo!
Yes!
Never send boys to do a woman's job. Never.
Now that that's wrapped up, you've seen the terrible acting and all the other stuff. Personally, yeah, this looks really cool, but I'm not really into FPS. That train has sailed for me ever since the Half-Life and Quake days and competitive PC gaming and stuff like that. I'm not really big into shooters. I'll play them once in a while. I did GoldenEye for nostalgia reasons. I did Conduit 2 because I thought it would be a little bit better than Conduit 1. It was, but it felt more like Halo, but I'm going to review that game eventually. I need to get back to reviewing Wii games. I'm only one guy, so please don't give me a stroke. Looking at the controller, I think that it's going to be very successful based on all the people who are working on it and stuff like this. And then, of course, I really believe that the competition is going to copy this innovation to continue gaming's evolution, which is a good thing. Don't knock it too much, because without people improving Nintendo's technology and game systems over the years, the industry would cave in, you know? Just like it did in 1983. When I first saw the controller, I was very scared. And the only thought that I had racing through my mind was, man, this thing's going to be heavy like the PSP, because that's why I did not buy a PSP. Because the thing was awkward to hold, and it was too heavy for my hands. I did not like it. And the same can be said for the Game Gear. I liked playing the Game Gear at my cousin's house and my friend's house, but I would not own one because the thing was too heavy and too hot. And I didn't like that, even if it was in color. I didn't care. Didn't have those things. I'd stick with my Game Boy. In terms of the controls itself on the system, I mean, it has gyros built in. It's got bigger buttons like the GameCube. It seems like it's easier to interface with the touchscreen and all the other stuff, so that's going to be a very good thing. And luckily, I actually had my fears put to rest when one of my friends who was at E3 gave me a call after getting hands-on with a lot of the tech demos, which when he was calling me at night, it would have been 2:30 in the morning here, and I was okay to talk to. I mean, I was up. I'll say that. I was up. And I was glad to hear that most of my fears about the system, about, you know, is the controller going to be heavy? They said, no, the controller's light. It's comfortable. I was like, how can it be comfortable? It's like, they said, you can't really explain it. It's just really comfortable to use. I was like, well, how can that be? It's like, we don't know. It's Nintendo. It's like, huh. But they said, we do have to tell you this, Luke. I was like, what? They said, well, this thing outperforms the 3DS. I was like, well, what do you mean? They said the gyros are better, the touchscreen's better, the cameras are better, and the weight issue is better. And I'm just like, man, because that's hard for me, because I've gotten so used to using the 3DS that I can't even use my DS Lite anymore. Even though it has the Game Boy Advance port, I just constantly use my 3DS for everything. I mean, I game on this thing so much. You've seen all the reviews I've done for it. I've got like 5 more games to review for this system. I'm curious to see all the things it can do, especially with fighting games. I'm a big fighting game nut. And we all know that everybody was disappointed this week when Nintendo finally said the 10-year-old GameCube system is not going to work with the controller and the system. And it's like, well, what are we going to do for Smash Brothers? All the complaints that I've gotten, everybody says, oh man, what are we going to do about Smash Brothers? Everybody uses the controller. Wiimote sucks for Smash Brothers. And it's like, yeah, it does. But Classic Controller Pro isn't that bad. I mean, I use it for a lot of stuff. And at least that's going to be incorporated with the new Wii U and the Virtual Console system and, you know, all that other stuff. So all that's good. But, yeah, lack of GameCube support, that's bad. But in Nintendo's defense, if they included GameCube support, which I'm sure they're probably going to include it on the Virtual Console, which makes sense. It's 10 years old. You know, it's not like GameCube was right around the corner. I mean, I was in college, folks, when that game system came out. Actually, I got the system right before I entered college. I'm 2 years away from being 30 years old. It's an old system. It's old gen, okay? It's almost retro. In fact, just to quell fears, I'm going to start doing GameCube games for Retro Mondays, starting in 2012. I am. So it is now retro. So there. Okay? So let's not be upset about GameCube. I have 250 GameCube games. We have a lot of Retro Mondays material. We have a lot of retro material. So be happy with that. Leave Wii U alone. We don't, you know, it's got Virtual Console support. It's got backwards compatible with Wii. It can use its controllers. It can do all kinds of bizarre things. It's going to have better online play. So let's just focus on the positives. Don't be a negative Nelly, okay? It's very easy to be a negative Nelly, like I was with the DS, which was stupid. It's not a good thing to do that. How I like to look at everything that's happening with the controller, and personally, I'm very thrilled that Ubisoft is involved with a lot of the thought process and making games for it and providing like 5 launch titles. That's a big deal. Because they provided, I think they did 3 for the Wii, if I'm not mistaken. Red Steel, Rayman Rabbids, and maybe a racing game. I don't remember. But I like to look at Ubisoft as they're a company that lays the blueprints of what's to come. Because even them being an architect and setting the foundation, another company comes and improves it. And that's a good thing for everybody involved that does the Wii U. And even better because later on, people took the concept of Red Steel that Ubisoft had envisioned with the first-person shooters. And this led way to create Conduit and eventually Red Steel 2 by Ubisoft, which set the bar again, you know? And Nintendo saw that and was like, oh, let's do the same with Skyward Sword. And you know, that's what we saw. And what excites me about the Wii U is so many developers want to be interested to do stuff with this. We have EA Games that came on stage. They're bringing their full support. Sega's talked about the system. Capcom, Konami, Acclaim, Natsumi, Namco Bandai, Koei. Oh, there's so many companies now, more than I was a kid. In terms of what I think about the graphics for this system, honestly, I think that what the system is, it's going to spook PS3 and 360, and they're going to be in a rush to release their system before 2014. And this is actually going to be good because it's going to boost competition again. And boosting competition increases sales, which in turn makes for all happy gamers. So by Nintendo releasing the system early and, you know, showing people, okay, this is what the next generation of stuff is all about, then we see Sony and Microsoft doing the similar thing. This is going to be good for everybody. And then you guys won't have to wait for your next system until 2014 or 2015 or whenever they said. From what I've actually read and seen about the graphics, I was watching the press conference on Nintendo's site, and it was actually in 1080p. And the bird flying thing has gotten a mixed reaction from people. For me, and a lot of other people that saw it in 1080p or saw it at the event, the bird flying around looked like a Pixar film. And that's a good thing. And the Zelda experience thing was like unlike any other visual that can be seen right now. It's leaps ahead of the competition in the other systems, but it's not a full game. I really believe that Nintendo not showcasing the specs of the system and all the visuals is a very good thing because, frankly, I think they've sensed a pattern with the last 10 years of gaming. See, back in the old days, both Nintendo and Sega didn't really copy off each other's technologies or systems. They were both unique, and they both had their own things. Sega had blast processing, Nintendo had Mode 7, and some other stuff. And both companies brought new ideas to the table, where the current market, they don't really do that. They do what happened in the 80s with Atari and Intellivision and all that other stuff. They just made their next systems a little bit better than the last one. For my reasoning that Wii U will not be a GameCube is 3 points. 1, the discs are high capacity and not small in size and format, which made developing games more attractive on PS2 and Xbox during GameCube. Right now, its third-party support is bigger on 3DS and Wii U than was on GameCube or Dreamcast. Developers have already said, hey, this is very easy to port games over that are currently in development for the other systems to the Wii U, and we just chalk up the visuals just a little bit. We just tweak it just a little bit. Not a lot, so that they lose development costs, but just a little bit to give it that extra push for the new system. They've also said that the Project Cafe kit is very developer-friendly and has many designers excited. Second point, most of GameCube's failure lies with its management and the president of Nintendo. I'm not talking Iwata either. I'm talking about that old prune who went and insulted Square during the N64 era for not including Final Fantasy VII on the N64. He also burned a lot of RPG bridges that went to Sony, and he did a lot of other bad things. He also gave Iwata a huge mess when he came to office in 2002. And I respect the man a lot because Iwata did as much as he could to try to save GameCube sales, but the coffin had already been nailed. It was done. With the DS and Wii, we actually got to see what Iwata's vision was, and Nintendo became a respectable company again. Third point, and final point. Online play is going to be a huge factor for the Wii U. In fact, Nintendo has invested a lot into this time around, and has hired an outside company to lay the foundation for the online service. Not much is known about who's actually doing it, but what I've gathered from Ubisoft, the friend codes are gone, and everyone will have like a gamer tag similar to that of Xbox Live. The eShop and Virtual Console is also a big selling point for the Wii and 3DS, and that will also be a part of the Wii U. Which is a very wise decision on Nintendo's part, since the Virtual Console has been keeping the system on life support, in my personal opinion. Although, if I may suggest something, please don't skimp on the Virtual Console anymore. Because in 2009, VC games, were absent completely. Except for a couple here and there. It was all WiiWare titles, and nobody really wanted WiiWare. We wanted the classic games like Chrono Trigger that we had to wait almost 5 years for. I know retro. I definitely know retro. So trust me, Nintendo, when I say this stuff. Getting more VC games and systems people played like Saturn and Dreamcast and Game Boy Advance and Game Boy on the Virtual Console, these are things that are going to really help you because nobody handles retro quite like you do. In fact, sales and reception for retro games on the other systems are terrible in comparison. So basically, if Nintendo can monopolize on the retro market, they will make a killing because nobody can do it quite like them, and nobody can gather the respect of retro quite like they do. And I know, I may be like this miserable little nobody, but I do have some things I would really like to see from the Wii U. Not just the Wii Pad, not just the technology. I want to see what the games can do and what I can actually do with my 3DS with the Wii U. And I know connection rumors have been flooding all over the place about the Wii U and 3DS and the interface and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm all excited about that. And my hopes are high because Sakurai, the guy who's doing Smash Bros. 4, is saying that he's envisioning some type of connection between Super Smash Bros. 4 on the Wii U and the 3DS so that you can play on the 3DS and do like customization and then move your character over there. But at the same time, you could both play against people on the Wii U and the 3DS. So you have that type of oneness. That's awesome. I really like that. And I may have said this point already, but I could really care less about all the tech and the best graphics and all the bells and whistles or even having a video chat. If there are no good games at launch, then that's going to be a problem and give the system a bad reputation. Again, because in media today, sensationalism is where it's all at, and that's a real shame. I mean, you've just seen this huge change in how people actually report things. Basically, what will happen is if there's a bad launch, doesn't matter if you got good games coming out later, they're going to report on the bad launch to death. And they're not going to do anything based on their first impression. They'll never give the thing a second shot. The really good journalists will, but the so-so people, no, they're not going to look at the game again. A great example of this is the failed 3DS launch, because let's be honest, it didn't do well. The system in many eyes is deemed a failure today, even though there are games actually coming out. People are already saying, oh, Vita 1, Vita 1. What they're doing is they're focusing on the past, the launch, instead of the stuff that's coming, like Ocarina of Time, Star Fox. But as bad as the media is hurting things, Nintendo's actually kind of stepping on its own foot, because they're investing a lot of time and money in the DS Lite commercials and media blitz. I don't really understand, because the DS has already had its time in the sun, and I think from a consumer standpoint, they would be trying to market the 3DS, because DS is last generation. You know, let the system quietly, go to its final resting place. Let it ride off into the sunset with its 150 million sold worldwide, and please focus on the current generation. So, if you release the Wii U in March, either consider posting games that people want to play. Like, you have an awesome lineup, that's great. Third parties, cool. But make sure there is a really good Wii U title. Everybody's saying Mario and stuff. Mario's great, but I think it would be good to get Pikmin in there, because there was a lot of hype and a lot of people were happy about when Miyamoto announced Pikmin Wii U, and he even said, hey, Pikmin Wii U is coming along great, even though he wasn't supposed to say that. It might be sooner than later. I think that would make a perfect launch title, and I think my fans will agree with me. But if you are going to release the system in 2012, like either in the spring or, summer, if you could get away with the summer, that would be your best opportunity, because you won't be in the drought. And people are more likely to buy stuff in the summer because they're out of school, and they're out with their families, they're, getting odd jobs, and they're able to buy their own games, where in the spring they're still in school, finals are coming up, it makes things a lot harder, So, I know things are really different in Japan. School's much longer, and there are different holidays, different breaks. So, maybe release the system in the spring in Japan, and then release Wii U here in the summer. That's a win-win. And I know the Nintendo PR guys monitor my channel, so let me just offer this last advice. Learn what happened with the 3DS launch, and make sure it doesn't happen with the Wii U, because we don't really see much marketing for the 3DS. And I'm worried that same approach isn't going to be taken with Wii U. Because the reason I really think Wii was successful is the Wii would like to play commercials. Because you were appealing to people that watch TV and, doing all this stuff and having these events where people were playing Wii in the malls, and they were getting adjusted to that. And that was awesome, because it brought these people in and they started playing, and then they would get their kids' DSs, and the gaming fold just got monumental. It got huge. Got bigger than when I was a kid. And don't worry, there's a method to my madness here. If you do that kind of stuff with the Wii U, and I guarantee you that you will shatter people's doubts, and instead of talking about the technology from now on, focus on the games that you will reveal. You do that, and the rest will fall into place. I'm definitely done now. But I just wanted everybody to know my thoughts on this. So, yeah. Well, I hope that you are all still listening. I know I don't have much to show, but I used to do radio stuff, and this is the kind of stuff I used to do on a weekly basis. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. You can expect 3DS impressions very soon. Just know that I'm personally not thrilled with the web browser. It's really no different than the DSi one. But the eShop is great. I will say that. There are 5 3DS reviews that are coming between now and in August. But I hope that you've taken my words to heart. And, if Nintendo is listening, I hope you will definitely consider what I brought to the table. This is just my analysis of what I see when I report the news, and I just report the news objectively, but these are my thoughts. This is how I feel, and I hope my fans and I hope that you will not take this against me, and will continue to want to work with me. So thank you all for watching, and until we meet again, gamers, God bless. So thank you all for listening. Until we meet again, gamers, God bless, and happy gaming.